Hi everyone, my name is Alexis and welcome to class today. Come join me on your mat and make sure you have 2 blocks or block-like items at the back of your mat. We'll be using them later in class and you can do this flow without them, but I highly recommend them. We're going to start class today in child's pose. You can have your knees apart or knees together, yogi's choice, but either way, come forward into your child's pose and focus on your breath. Of course, like we do in every yoga class, breathe in and out through the nose and allow your attention to come to your midline, the center of your body. Bring your focus, your awareness right to the center of you, to your sternum, your belly button, and let everything else that's outside of you fade away. You are here on your mat with me. You have nothing else you need to do and nowhere else you need to be. Today's class theme is the water element. So this is the second class in our series on the elements. We previously worked with earth, which creates a foundation and a container. And next up in the line is water, which fills containers. Water, of course, represents fluidity and change. It also represents emotions. Our ability to flow through life comes through how much we can channel this water element when we are in tough containers. Beautiful. On your next breath in, I want you to come forward, bring the weight onto your hands and let your hips fall forward. We're coming into our hanging cobras. If you've practiced yoga with me at all, you know I love these. Inhale here, really broadening across your chest, and then exhale back into child's pose. Inhale forward again into your hanging cobra and exhale back into your child's pose. You're just going to keep moving through that motion, through that movement. Almost make it like a cat-cow. We're warming up the spine here. We're opening across the chest. And we're going to be doing several of these more fluid movements throughout the class today. And I really want you to imagine you're a river, you're a stream flowing through the earth. No matter what obstacles you come across, maybe it's a narrower range of movement than you want, maybe it's a bit of tension, see if you can flow through that, flow around it. Very nice. Exhale back into your child's pose and just take a deep breath here in your child's pose. In and out. And then come up onto your hands and knees, curl your back toes underneath you, and press back into your downward facing dog. Because this is the first downward dog, really press through your hands so you can lengthen through your spine. Maybe bend your knees so you can get that length through your spine. And then once you feel like your spine is nice and long and has lots of space, then you can begin to straighten your legs. Maybe walk it out, bending one knee and then the other. And then come and find a little bit of stillness here in your downward dog. We're going to take several deep breaths here. In and out. And again, we're not moving in this downward dog. We're just breathing. But see if you can find fluidity in your breath. Maybe imagine your breath as a circle, breathing in for half the circle and out for the other half of the circle. Beautiful. On your next inhale, come forward into your plank pose, high plank, and exhale back into downward facing dog. Inhale forward into plank. Exhale back, downward facing dog. We're going to do that a couple more times. Again, inhaling forward into plank, exhaling back into downward dog as fluidly as you can. Plank is a hard pose. So is downward dog. We're moving through 2 very difficult poses, and I want you to see how much you can channel that energy. Last time, inhale forward to plank, exhale back into downward facing dog. Very nice. On your next breath in, breathe in deeply through the nose and lift the right leg up to the sky. Maybe open up your hip. You can bend the knee if you want. But then exhale, bring that right foot between your hands. Pivot the left foot so you have heel to arch alignment and come on up into your warrior 2. Now again, double check your feet. Make sure that that front right heel lines up with the arch of the left foot. Make sure you don't have any warrior on the go. Make sure your shoulders are directly over your hips. And then lengthen your arms out and breathe. Maybe take a peek down at your knee. Make sure it's angling over your second and third toes. And just breathe here. Allow yourself to feel the earth beneath you as your foundation. And then we're going to incorporate water. So inhale back into your reverse warrior. Exhale forward into your side angle pose. Now you're not really lingering in either pose. You're just inhaling back to reverse, exhaling forward into side angle. And you can move your arms however you want. If you want to make this a little more fluid, a little more dancey, by all means, bring that into the class. We're finding fluidity here. We're finding space. We're finding the ability to adapt to change. You're doing great. One more time each way. Very nice. You can linger in each pose if you like. Then come back into your warrior two. Straighten the right leg. We're going to come into triangle pose. So kick your hips back to the left. Reach your right arm forward. Windmill the arms. Coming into triangle pose. Again, this is a static pose. But just like we did with our breath in downward dog, imagining we were breathing in a circle, finding fluidity in our breath. See if you can do that here. Triangle pose is technically a pretty gentle twist. So see if you can invite in that fluidity. Come back up into your triangle pose and then turn your right toes so both your feet are facing the long edge of your mat. Inhale the arms up overhead and exhale, fold forward into your wide-legged forward fold. Very nice. And just, you can sway here if you like. You can clasp opposite elbows. You can bring your hands to your shins and see if you can pull yourself a little closer. What I want to challenge you to do, though, is not go as far as you possibly can. I want you to back off and just let it be. Kind of see where your body naturally goes and don't force it beyond that point. Beautiful. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, and I want you to turn. We're going to get a little tricky here. We're kind of moving in a circle on our mat. You're going to pivot the left toes towards the back of your mat, and this is where I want you to grab your blocks. Bring your blocks underneath your hands on the highest setting, underneath your shoulders, to come into your runner's lunge. It's a little tricky, like I said. Exhale, straighten that left leg to come back into pyramid pose. Inhale forward into runner's lunge. Exhale back into pyramid pose. Again, we're moving in and out of poses. Find fluidity here between these poses. Into runner's lunge, back into pyramid pose. Again, two tricky poses. But see how much you can use your breath and this idea of water to propel you through these two poses with grace and ease. Very nice. Go ahead and set your blocks off to the side. Come into your high lunge. Lift the arms up overhead. Take a deep breath in, bend the right knee, and come to Tadasana at the back of your mat. We're going to make our way back to the front of the mat, basically reversing what we did. Inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Bring your hands to your hips and step the left foot back into your high lunge. Grab your blocks, bring them underneath your shoulders to come into your runner's lunge, and then exhale, straighten the right leg into pyramid. Inhale forward into runner's lunge. Exhale back into pyramid. Again, finding that fluidity in that runner's lunge to pyramid transition on the other side. I used to hate doing this transition, runner's lunge to pyramid pose. I used to hate this. But the more I could engage in making it almost like a dance, almost a movement of fluidity, of grace, I was able to really tap into the benefits of this more intense movement set. Inhale forward into your lunge, set your blocks aside, and we're going to pivot into our wide-legged forward fold. So your toes are going to be facing the other long edge of your mat. Your legs are going to be wide apart. Inhale the arms up overhead and exhale, fold forward into your wide-legged forward fold. So now you're facing the opposite direction as you were in our previous wide-legged forward fold. And again, same thing here. Let yourself fold, see where you are, and then put your hands in a place that can stabilize you here. And breathe. Imagine you're breathing in that circle again. Beautiful. Go ahead and bend the knees and very gently roll your way up to standing. And this time, turn the left toes out to the front of your mat. Kick the hips back to the right. Reach the left arm forward and come into triangle pose on the opposite side. That's what we were just a moment ago. So your left arm is down on your left leg. Your right arm is reaching up to the sky. You're twisting from your core. And again, come back to your circular breathing here. Water has the ability to fill whatever container it is given. So as we move fluidly through poses, imagine that can fill different containers, right? Inhale, come up into your warrior 2 and start to flow through reverse warrior, side angle pose. Match your breathing to the movements, whatever feels good, and see if you can really flow with your arms here. Like I said, water is fluidity. It's adapting to change. It's embracing change. Maybe see, can we adopt water traits when the container is something like anxiety or stress or worry or grief? How can we find fluidity even in those tough containers? Come back into your warrior 2, keeping an eye over your front hand, and just breathe here. Maybe double check your healed arch alignment. And then cartwheel the hands down to the mat, step back into plank pose, and press your way back into downward facing dog. Well done. We're going to do that same thing, making our way back around to the other side of the mat. You're doing great. Go ahead and just walk out your downward dog a little bit. Very nice. Inhale the left leg up to the ceiling. Exhale, plant that left foot between the hands. Pivot the right back foot and come on up into your warrior 2. So again, double check that you have healed arch alignment. Double check that that left knee is open and not falling in or falling too far out. We want it right over the middle toes of your foot. Make sure your shoulders are stacked over your hips. Inhale the arms out. Feel the solidity of the earth under your feet. And then inhale back to reverse warrior. Exhale forward into side angle pose. And just flow through this kind of little movement back and forth. And as you're flowing here, your feet don't change. Your foundation, your root system doesn't change, right? Your legs stay the same even as you're flowing forward and back. Very nice. Come back into your warrior 2. Straighten that left leg. Pop the hips back to the right. Reach forward with that left arm. Windmill the arms so you come to triangle pose on the left side. Breathing in and out. Beautiful. Come back up. Turn those left toes so they face the side of your mat. So both feet are now, both feet are now facing the side of your mat. Inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, fold into your forward fold. And in this forward fold, go ahead and just allow your spine to sway side to side. Your feet stay the same. Your feet stay sturdy. We can imagine they're kind of the earth container. But then we find fluidity in our spine. And when we find fluidity, we also find space, which, of course, allows us to motivate ourselves with fire and dream with air. But for now, we're just focusing on flowing. Very nice. Inhale and bend the right leg and pivot your torso around to come into your runner's lunge on the right side. So the right leg is ahead. You're facing the back of your mat. Blocks are underneath your shoulders. Take a deep breath here in your runner's lunge. And then on your exhale, straighten that right leg to come into your wide leg pyramid pose. Inhale forward, runner's lunge. Exhale back, pyramid pose. And again, same thing. Maybe dwell on the sturdiness of your feet pressing into the mat. But then also the fluidity of your upper body and your legs moving through these poses. Beautiful, very nice. Come back into your runner's lunge. Move the blocks just to the side. Bend that left leg behind you. And high lunge, and then come on up into Tadasana. Very nice. Inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center through the midline. Beautiful. Now we go back to the front of the mat. Step the right leg behind you, coming into your runner's lunge with the left knee bent. Blocks underneath your shoulders. Lengthen through the spine. Inhale, and then exhale, straighten the left leg into pyramid pose. Inhaling forward, exhaling back. Water does represent our emotions, and our emotions change. We can always know that if we're dwelling in maybe a more negative or difficult emotion, there's always a more positive or feel-good emotion on the other side of that. Go ahead and come back into your runner's lunge. Run, set your blocks aside, and pivot those right feet so the toes are facing the same side of the mat as your left toes, and come into your wide-legged forward fold. We're making our way back to where we started. And again, maybe just sway side to side here. Doing great. Take another deep breath in. Bend the knees, roll yourself all the way up to standing. Turn the right toes out. Come into your triangle pose. So pop the hips back to the left, reach the right arm forward, and windmill the arms so you're twisting through the left arm up to the ceiling. Come back to your circular breath. See if you can find fluidity in your breath and allow it to bring you back to center. Come up into your warrior two, bending into that front knee. Double check that you have healed arch alignment. Make sure your feet are grounded. And then begin flowing back and forth through reverse warrior and side angle pose. Inhaling and exhaling. I don't want you to worry so much about your form in these other than keeping your feet planted on the mat and your front knee bent. Otherwise, just feel it out. Flow as you want to flow. Beautiful. Come back into your warrior two. Just take a couple deep breaths. You are strong. You are adaptable. And you can flow with change. Beautiful. Windmill the arms down to the mat. Step the right foot back and come back into your downward facing dog. Well done. It was kind of a fun, tricky flow, so you did great. Take a few deep breaths here in your downward facing dog. And we're just going to come into pigeon pose. So bring the right knee by the right thumb. Lower your hips down to the mat. Make sure that, look behind you, make sure your left foot is in the center of your mat. Inhale to lengthen through the spine, and then exhale, relax forward into your pigeon pose. And if upright pigeon like this is just doesn't work in your body, that's totally fine. You can just come to lie down on your back and do reverse pigeon, reclined pigeon, where you just bring one ankle to the thigh and hug the knee into your chest. Otherwise, if you're in kind of upright pigeon, just keep breathing in and out here. Beautiful. Press yourself up, and I want you to swing that left leg around. We're going to come into a twist. So the left foot is planted outside of the right knee. You can keep the right leg straight or bent. Hug the left knee into your chest and twist gently to the left. If you were lying down in reclined pigeon, just rock and roll yourself up to a seated position. Arrange the right leg straight out, left foot over the right leg, and twist. Very nice. Just keep breathing in and out through the nose. One more deep breath in. Exhale, come out of the twist, and then swing your left leg out with the right leg bent. We're coming into half butterfly. So your left leg is stretched out long, the right knee is bent. If you want to tuck something under your hips here, you're more than welcome to. Inhale to lengthen through the spine. And then again, like we did in our wide-legged forward folds, exhale forward, just as you naturally can, and then stop. I don't want you to try and force anything here. I want you to more just focus on flexing those left toes back to your face and letting your body relax. I don't want you to force anything. I want you to just sit here, just exist here in this fold in your natural range of motion. Beautiful. Come on up, and we're just going to switch legs. So right leg goes long, left leg hugs into the groin. Same thing. Inhale nice and long. Exhale, fold just into your natural range of motion. No forcing it. Just kind of see how far gravity can push you. If you don't fold forward at all, that's totally fine. You are where you are. You flow where you flow. Keep those right toes nice and flexed. I do want you to keep that right extended leg active. Beautiful. Another deep breath in. Come on up. And we're going to pivot towards the back of our mat. Bring that right leg, so the right foot is on the outside of the left knee. And the left leg can either be bent underneath or straight out. And we're going to come into a twist again. So hug the right knee to your chest, twist to the right. Maybe press the right hand into the mat behind you to really lengthen through your spine. That's the thing with twists. We're trying to create space in the spine more than crunch everything in an effort to twist super far. You don't get extra points for trying to look cool and injuring yourself in the process. Take one more deep breath in, and on the exhale, come back to center. If you're doing upright pigeon with me, just send that right leg back behind you to come into pigeon on the left side. So the left knee is bent, right leg is behind you. If you're coming into reclined pigeon, just roll back onto your back and do pigeon on the other leg. Wherever you are, in whichever pigeon, just breathe deeply. Maybe close your eyes. And again, allow your breath to bring you back into the center of your body, back into your midline. No matter what emotions come, no matter what we feel, our ability to flow with those emotions, our ability to root down into our foundation beneath us and hold whatever those emotions are, is always there. No matter what container you are existing in, you have the ability to flow through it. Maybe that requires help with therapy. Maybe it just requires a change in perspective. We can always channel that water fluidity, and no matter what container we're in. If you were in upright pigeon, go ahead and press your way back into downward facing dog. If you were in reclined pigeon, roll yourself up into tabletop pose. And either way, tabletop or downward facing dog, meet me in a Tadasana pose, just in the middle of the mat. Make sure your feet are hip width apart, toes facing forward, and bring your hands to your chest. Close your eyes. And breathe. We've done a lot of hip openers, a lot of leg work. Just allow your heart rate to slow down. You are still here on this mat. There's still nowhere else you need to be. Bring your toes as close together as they can. Bring your hands either to your hips or to prayer. And then just bend the knees and lower yourself down into your toe balance. If this is totally inaccessible for you and you're like, Alexis, my knees just can't handle that, that's fine. Just come down to a seated position. If you can, if your knees are not screaming, come into your toe balance just for a minute. And then we're going to come into butterfly pose. Soles of feet together, knees nice and wide. If you want to bring your blocks underneath your knees as a support, you're welcome to. And again, like we've done in all our forward folds today, same thing. Inhale, lengthen through the spine, and exhale forward, just as far as you naturally can go. I don't want you efforting too much here. You can sway side to side here if you like. Couple more deep breaths in and out here. Beautiful. One more deep breath in, and on the exhale, come up to a seat. Bring your knees together and gently windshield wiper the legs side to side. Make any movements you need. Work out any kinks. We're going to come into fish pose, of course, for a water element class. Now you'll need 2 blocks for this or a bolster. If you're using blocks, you want 1 block parallel to the short edge of the mat, and then the second block is either going to run parallel to that or it's going to run up and down perpendicular to that block. You might need to play around with it and see which version you like. I prefer having my blocks in a sort of T shape. I like the way that the block sits on my spine and my shoulder blades fall across it, but some people like having the block across maybe where their bra line would be. Find what works, find what feels good. If you don't have blocks, you can use a bolster or a pillow or a couch cushion just between your shoulder blades to kind of get the same feeling. Just make sure that your head is also supported. And then your feet can either be in Supta Baddha Konasana, so reclined butterfly, heels together, knees apart. The knees can be bent with the feet planted on the mat, or your legs can be out long. Find whatever's comfortable. Close your eyes. And if fish pose doesn't feel right, just come into Shavasana. One of my favorite illustrations that I learned in yoga teacher training was the idea of Brahman and Atman. Brahman is basically universal consciousness. It's the divine understanding, the divine everything and nothing that we came from and that we return to. Atman is our individual consciousness. It's our individual experience in this life. But the best illustration that I've heard of this concept is you can imagine Brahman as the ocean. It's expansive, it's limitless, it's unknowable in its entirety. Atman is 1 drop of water. And this is where this illustration became really powerful for me, is imagining myself as 1 droplet of water in the ocean. It means that I am both unique and also part of something so much greater than myself. Using this illustration of water helps me connect to the greater truth. My individual experience, my Atman, my droplet in the ocean, is just part of a greater experience, a greater consciousness. There's so much more outside of me that both influences me and that I influence. This illustration makes me feel a lot less alone in the world, and also reminds me that no matter what container I am in, no matter what I am facing, no matter what emotions I'm feeling or struggling with, there is always more. There's always something greater that I can return to. If you're in fish pose or Shavasana, go ahead and wiggle your fingers and toes and just gently make your way up into a seated position, however you want to today. I hope that you'll carry the lessons that water has to teach us. Fluidity, change, the ability to fill a container, and also mold the container. Rivers are water cutting through rock. Consistency can heal many wounds. Take a few more deep breaths in and out through the nose. And again, allow your awareness to come to your midline. Let everything else fade around you in these last few moments of our class together. And when you're ready, inhale the arms down, around, and up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Take a moment to thank yourself for this class, for taking the time to honor yourself. And when you're ready, you can open the eyes. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Definitely check out the rest of the elemental classes. I will link the playlist below. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. That's what tells YouTube that this is a good class and helps other people find it. If you're not subscribed, be sure to subscribe. I do new yoga classes every Thursday and a meditation once a month. Until next time, until I see you on the mat again, have a lovely rest of your day. Bye for now.